Hi, I'm John Kursky, and in today's video I want to show you how to combine skills files, GitHub Cloud Agents, so you can do the work on the go, whether you're outside or you're having to do the work while you're in a meeting. For me, this is doing work while I'm having to keep this guy entertained. Alright, so before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel so you can stay up to date with all the content and training we'll be putting out in the coming weeks. And with that, in today's video, I want to show you how you can take the GitHub Cloud Agent with skills files and not necessarily have to be tethered to your machine or your laptop to be able to get work done. And so what do I mean by that? Well, the nice thing is GitHub has a mobile app that you can take advantage of. And if our repository has been set up to have skills files, we can actually use our mobile device to ask it to delegate work or run analysis or even make changes to our Power BI reports. So let's take a look at what that would look like. Now, up on my screen here, I have an example that I will put in the YouTube description in which I've got a main branch and a test branch that is slightly different. The test branch, let's assume I've assigned somebody to add some tests, to make some updates to the sample model report, and I want to make sure that if I'm out and about or I'm in a meeting, I need to be able to pull up my GitHub application on my phone and have it run an analysis and make some minor updates. Now, in order to do that, there's some specific things that I've added to this file or this repository to make that possible, and that is through leveraging Rui Romano's repository for Power BI report authoring and Power BI semantic model authoring. Now, I will also put that link in the YouTube description, but within this, there's a set of skills files that go through report authoring and semantic model authoring, and I moved that over to my repository here. And if I take a look on the branch here, let me make sure I got Zoom It running. There we go. If I add it to a .github area, our folder with skills, I can then put in the folders here, copy this content over, and this is what a skills file looks like. This is an open standard in which you can identify the name and description of what the skill is. Now, what is a skill? A skill is a procedural document that you can inform a large language model and an agent on how to perform certain tasks. It has been trained on a lot of content. What it hasn't been trained on is the specific way that you want it to work, and that's where skills files come in. Now, the nice thing is that what I have highlighted serves as kind of a table of contents for the agent. So if the skills files are registered, sitting in your .github folder or at your system level, but in this case, we're just going to keep it within the repository. When the agent runs, it will use this as a table of contents to see, do I need to activate this skill in order to conduct my work? And I'm going to show you real quick how you can kind of trigger it to do that. But the fact is, if your name and your description is good enough that during your prompt to the agent, your intent matches what the name and description is, chances are it will activate that skill and then read through that skill in order to understand how to make changes. Now that I have those skills files, I've got the skills for both report authoring as well as semantic model authoring. It also contains scripts, references. These are all things that on Rui Romano's repository I brought over. So again, this is something I didn't build. This is something that Rui built, and we've taken and put it into the repository. But with those skills files, I can now take advantage of this in a cloud agent. And the cloud agent, I want to show you what that experience is like in the GitHub mobile app. So we're going to switch screens and I'll show you that. All right, so let's see the skills in action using the GitHub app on Android. So I am going to click on Copilot, start an agent session. I have made sure that I've selected the right repository. I want to switch to the test branch, and I can also pick the model I want to use. For the purpose of this demo, I'm going to use Claude Sonnet just because I've had good experience with that. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is, let's say I know somebody's working on the test branch, and I want to just make sure to understand what the changes are and if they've made some additional tests. And finally, let's say I got word that we need to rename the first tab, but I didn't tell the individual while they're working on it to do that. But I'm just going to make that change in the test branch, or at least give the ability to do a pull request off the test branch so I can merge that change. So I'm just going to write compare the main and test branch using the skills and tell me what changed by report and semantic model. Then tell me what user defined function tests were added. And then finally, let's see, make sure in the test branch, the first tab is renamed to main. And I'll put that in double quotes. All right, and then I will hit send. Now at this point, I don't necessarily have to watch this in action. I could close my phone, get on with the rest of my business. If I'm out and about running errands, I can come back and check this at a later time. That's the beauty of having this in GitHub at this point with the skills files, is I can leverage the Cloud Agent to perform analysis and work and be able to work on other items. Or if I'm in a meeting and all I have access to is my phone and I need it to perform some actions, I can delegate that and have it do it without me having to be physically in front of my laptop. So at certain points, I'll fast forward through this demonstration, but if I expand here, you'll see that it is cloning the repository, it's getting the branches, fetching main and test, doing the report differences. All right, at this point, it actually called out to the Power BI authoring skill to learn how to make the update to the tab. And so under 6 minutes, it's given me a summary so far of what's changed between main and test. Looks like the semantic model was updated to support user-defined functions. See that the data quality tests were added, and it updated the first tab from page 1 to main. Now at this point, I'm waiting just for it to finish. Probably going to offer me the ability to make a pull request, so we'll wait for that session or that part of the process to complete. And there we go. And I can create a pull request at this point if I want to move forward with making those changes. And you can actually see what change it made. All right, so I hope this kind of illustrates how you can leverage skills files combined with the Cloud Agent to be able to ask or delegate work or ask for work to be completed, all from the smartphone. So you're combining two huge advances in technology, both artificial intelligence and the smartphone in the last 2 decades, and be able to accelerate your work, parallelize your work, and delegate your work. All right, well, I hope you learned something today. I showed you how to take skills files from Rui Romano's repository and combine that into your repository that has your Power BI report and semantic model, and then use the Cloud Agent to run an analysis and make an update to your Power BI report. Now in subsequent videos, I'm going to show you how to take agentic workflows and accelerate some of the work that you do. But until then, from me and from Atlas, take care.